Hey y'all, it's Kira,
John,
Rachel,
Caitlin,
Dave,
Hunter,
Jake,
Clara, and you're listening to the
Peercast,
featuring the BA reps.
your one-stop shop for everything UMTAD.
Hey y'all, it's Kira.
And it's John.
John with a working mic.
With a clear John voice.
John, how are you doing? How was week 2?
I'm popping off. My soul is popping off. I think my body and mind are somewhere lost in my third class. I don't know, but half of me is living my best life, I guess. How about you? How you doing?
You know, I'm doing good. If I'm being completely honest, the first week was chaos. It was so chaotic, but it feels good to just have experienced everything once, and now it's just a matter of kind of like solidifying that routine. Yeah, we're doing good. Doing great. I started doing morning meditations, and that's been really wonderful. Yeah.
I was attempting to do. I've been trying to do some morning yoga. Yeah, really nice. Kim Long-Hee, actually, she said she was going to send me her yoga routine, and I'm going to pop off. So really excited for that.
Yes, please. And for anyone who's taken Kim's class, have you taken Kim's class?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that she plays that beautiful, kind of mystical classical music before.
Yes.
It's so great. I hopped into her Zoom class to introduce the peers and reps, and she was playing it even over Zoom, and I was just blessed.
Classic. I love it. I love that so much.
All right. So for our UMTAD updates of the week, we have a lot of things are going on.
She's kind of thick, y'all. She's kind of thick.
Think of goodness for sure. So we only were able to touch on the Hub and Jubilee a little bit last week. So we just wanted to say more because it's really kind of incredible work. Not kind of, it is incredible work. And so just to say more about the Hub. So the Hub, as we kind of gave an overview last week, it is an UMTAD funded initiative that is based on community workshops and roundtables to kind of discuss the issues of racism within the UMTAD department and larger community. And so as of now, their focus is shifted inward, and they are focusing on gathering members of the UMTAD community to brainstorm ideas, discuss challenges, and engage in creative research that addresses, one, the legacies of exclusion, bigotry, and exploitation that continue to shape the craft of theater production, audience engagement, and critical reception. And by the way, all of this is coming from David Melendez again, the wonderful, incredible, beautiful grad student and logistics coordinator of the Hub. And the second thing that this is kind of addressing is how the American theater can better reflect and support the creativity and livelihood of artists who have been marginalized by these legacies, which is just really important work. And I think we're all really thankful that this is happening in this moment and that we were able to make it happen, even though the university couldn't fund this, that we, kind of scraped together some funds to make this happen. And at the center of it all, it's a commitment, and we read this before, and I just think it's so beautiful. So it's a commitment to intensify our collective understanding of historiography and dramaturgy so that welcome, quote, welcome, is not just an act or a gesture, but a departmental practice of continuous and collective self-examination. And that's those are David's words as well, that I just think are beautiful.
Absolutely gorgeous words. I wish I could write like that, but here we are. Yes, as we mentioned in our last podcast, we are also having our Jubilee season as well as the entire country here, and so there's quite a few Minnesota participants. We're gonna let you know about that in a second. But as a reminder, the Jubilee season is really focusing on highlighting and really getting underrepresented voices and bodies on our stages so that we all are starting to see this, just really the large large depth that our theater community really has, and has the ability to put on and bring those people and ourselves into focus as that. So in our Minnesota participants, we have obviously University of Minnesota Twin Cities, as well as Duluth. We have Theater Moo, 20% Theater Company, Twin Cities, and Theater Unbound, female and transgender theater artists. We have the Uprising Theater Company and Mixed Blood. They are focusing on marginalized communities. Gadfly Theater Productions and Umbrella Collective are queer artists. 10,000 Things, the touring low cost as well as accessible. Performances. And then the Theater Novi Most, so that's Lisa Tanner's company, which is Russian and political focus there. And then Theater Parada and Transatlantic Love Affair, their original work.
Yeah, and John, have you ever seen a 10,000 Things production?
I feel like I have.
They do incredible work. So they tour like prisons, homeless shelters, rural areas in Minneapolis, and they do mostly classical stuff, but it's so full of life. It's so goofy and colorful and wonderful. 10,000 Things. I think they're moving and grooving virtually from what I maybe have seen. And so that's a great one to check out. Also, Theater Mu is incredible, and they're an Asian American based theater company here in Minneapolis, and they do really great work. Okay. All right, so we have a lot of plugs this week, so we're just going to be plugging away. So the first plug, and this will be a huge hub for resources and all of the things that we're about to mention. So the Peers website, which was designed, curated, done everything by Rachel Breeze, Queen Rachel, the design and tech peer, who also, fun fact, edits these podcasts and does amazing work. So you can access the website. We'll put this in our show notes, but there's a Z link. And if you know what that is, it's like a University of Minnesota quick link that'll take you to different links. Sorry, that's so vague. But the Z link is is z.umn.edu/UMTAD Peers. That's UMTAD Peers. And that'll take you to our Wix site. And from there you can meet the peers and reps and learn some fun facts about us if that interests you. You can access these episodes and the transcripts on the website. Rachel has a huge page of resources, not only just for theater and those documents, those rehearsal policies, but also for UMTAD at large. There's some amazing mental health resources that she has listed there. You can also take a look at a bunch of student groups. We tried to get a lot of them. I'm sure if we missed you or one that you know of, please let us know and we'll put you on there. And then we'll also have a little archive on there too as we put more content out there.
Yes, indeed. All right. So our next plug is going to be for USITT. This is USITT stands for United States Institute of Theater Technology. And so USITT here at the U is a group that seeks to connect design and technical students to provide support, network opportunities, and resources. In addition, they're focused on advocating for undergraduates within our department. So you can contact them in many different ways. You can follow them on Instagram at USITTMN. You can look them up on Facebook at University of Minnesota Twin Cities USITT Student Chapter, or go ahead and email them at usittmn@umn.edu.
Beautiful. And I think Rachel said that they are maybe meeting on Tuesdays, but to be determined. So reach out to them if you're interested.
Yes, indeed.
Our next plug is also for a Tuesday, and it is so exciting. I'm so excited for this one. So Firefly Musical Productions, which is led by another queen, Emma Lai. So she and the company, the board, they're putting together an open mic night. And so this is for anybody and everybody. Invite everyone you know, just to watch. You can bring a song, a dance, a monologue, a comedy sketch, anything, everything. And that'll be Tuesday, September 29th. So next Tuesday night at 7 o'clock on Zoom. You can find the Zoom link and everything else you need to know on their Facebook page, Firefly Musical Productions. There's a really cute icon of like a firefly and a little lantern.
Something that you all should do always is to just get involved with MLI in some way, shape, or form theatrically, because she is so wonderful and has such a great mind for producing a ton of different events and different plays and just things like that. It's just a wonderful time to be with her, and she really does work on getting us all opportunities to do a ton of different things outside of the department as well.
Retweet. She's amazing. Oh my gosh, just email her or DM her just to chat because she's incredible. Okay, so our next plug, so this is an outside of the university thing, but my really good friend LindsayKayFitzgerald, so she is the resident artistic director at Theater Elysian, which is based in Crystal, which is just a little north of Minneapolis, and they do really, really cool stuff. Yeah, they do. So every October they do this thing called Ghost Quartet, and it is the wildest show I've ever seen in my entire life. The plot is just so you gotta see it. So Ghost Quartet by at Theater Elysian. They do it every year. It's incredible. But Lindsay, she also is a spotlight judge for high schools in Minnesota. She works with Project Success as a director, and she's just overall a wonderful human. And she is doing private virtual acting lessons. So if you're really looking to get some audition help, some character analysis work, emotion work, some voice and movement feedback, she is looking to do Zoom appointments. She's not looking to charge a lot. It's super flexible scheduling. And she just is really wanting to help out anyone who would like any feedback on their work. And so you can email her at LindsayKayFitzgerald@gmail.com. Look for it in the show notes, and shoot her an email and just say that Kira and John from the Peercast sent you, and she will get you all hooked up.
Yes. You said spotlight, and my body was like transported back to something I've tried very hard to forget.
Shoot, I'm so sorry.
I was like, spotlight? What?
Spotlight.
Literally, my whole body was like. Our next plug is going to be history mentoring from David Jane. So any undergraduate student can go ahead and be a mentor to work with middle school and high school students in the Twin Cities on their History Day projects. So mentors take 2 1-credit classes and conduct 100 hours of service with the schools between October and February. So all the mentor hours will be online, and students, y'all also receive a $1,500 stipend. So pop off with that. For more information, contact Samantha.Papas at the Minnesota Historical Society, and that's going to be at Samantha.Papas, that's Papas, at mnhs.org.
Beautiful. We'll put that in the show notes too. That's a great opportunity.
Yeah, y'all. History Day was super fun, and a lot of them opt to do solo or group performance. So like if y'all are trying to like maybe help some wonderful younger students learn how to live their best lives, I suggest that as well.
Perfect. Okay, another exciting thing that we are so excited to share, in addition to Mike Night, is our Liquid Hour. And this is an event put on by the Peers and Reps, and it'll be every other Friday from 5:30 to 6 o'clock on Zoom. So it's just like a little social hour, like come and chat. It's super going to be low key, just so, we can all see each other's faces. And, it's so funny that, there's no like crossover space in classes, like when you're, in Rarig, you see people that you don't have classes with, but now that we don't have that like transition space, it's just, we want to create one. And so that'll be starting this Friday, the 25th. Keep an eye out for that Zoom link in your email inbox. We'll also put it on all the socials, all the websites, all the things. Liquid Hour, come join.
Yes. Not that we love, bring your favorite liquid. My favorite is Sprite, McDonald's Sprite specifically. So.
That's so
Sprite?
specific.
It's different. It's different.
Yeah.
All right, next up is going to be Naga High Note. So our first Naga High Note is going to be coming out this month, so be on the lookout for that. Again, Naga High Notes are just a time for us as BA reps to go ahead and give y'all some information about like what's going on and like everybody's lives, and you can see some new maybe some updates there as well as some opportunities that we know of in our department as well as outside of it too. So also making sure that you just read those because honestly, Dave, like they make me
Yeah.
Mikaeli. So sorry, Dave, don't kill me. I love you. But you know, honestly, his whole vibe is just going to be throughout Naga High Notes, and you're going to be really wanting like maybe there's a joke, maybe it's about I don't know like a specific bird. I don't maybe a bird food combination. I don't know. You know, I don't. So,
It's
but
gonna be
yeah.
special,
So,
whatever it is.
So now the BFA did share night, so everyone went ahead and they shared their monologue. So they're all digging into rehearsal, all online, and they had a really fun time, according to Clara. So if Clara says that, you know it's correct.
Yeah, she said it's so sweet. They just like share a monologue, and then normally it's in person, but you know, in Zoom land, you turn off your mic and go and just support. And she's like, my mental space was just so much better leaving that, and it's just like that's beautiful. Here's a plug for the dance department. So dance department head Carl Flink is giving a TED Talk. That's so cool for TEDx Minneapolis. So that's October 23rd. The theme for the whole entire evening is adaptability. And so Carl Flink has a dance company by the name of Black Label Movement, and they seek to push the mind, body, and heart to the edge of what is possible and beyond. And let me tell you, I'm so excited to hear this TED Talk. Like every time Carl Flink speaks, I'm just intrigued. Like he's just so wise.
Such a cool man. I love him so much. I met him one time, maybe said like 5 words in his presence, and that one time was last week at Frameworks, but he is the one oh, I was so excited. So next up, another plug. Northrop is having a concert this Thursday with Local Lady Midnight. It's going to be virtual. You can register through Northrop, but it's free, or you can go to the Facebook page to do that as well. But Lady Midnight is an absolute experience. She's an ethereal vocalist and performance artist who draws upon the multidisciplinary background in visual art, dance, and Afro-Indigenous roots to create work with that timelessly reflects our collective lives. So definitely if you're looking for something that will just be like an experience that you just don't want to miss and really to give you a different, really like a different look into what theater can be, like I should definitely suggest check it out and have some fun with that.
And it's free. It's free. Do it.
True.
It's free.
Y'all not doing anything from Thursday noon to 1. Come on, you can do
it. It'll be cool. Okay, one last plug. This is the last one. Thanks for sticking with us. But this is the biggest plug of them all for this episode. So today we got to sit down with Sabrina Diehl and Wariboko Semenitari, who are the creators of ACC.
Indeed. So Sabrina Diehl is a BA December grad, and Wariboko Semenitari is a third-year BFA student, and together they chair the Artists of Color Coalition. But the Artists of Color Coalition, ACC, is a group for students of color in UMTAD to have a safe space to discuss, explore, and celebrate the culture and diversity within the department. It aims to gather and build community across different majors and help UMTAD students of color thrive. Throughout the year, the ACC will be hosting numerous events and workshops with different BIPOC students in the department, artists in the Twin Cities area, alumni, and more. So for more information, you can find them on Facebook or follow them on Instagram at ACC_UMTAD. So yeah, get ready for our lovely Sabrina and Wariboko.
Sabrina and Wari, how are you doing?
Good. Online school's hard, but like it is what it is. Thank God for Google Cal and Yahoo Cal and Apple Cal.
Google Cal. I'm like, Google Cal's telling me I have all these things to do, but I don't have to go anywhere. It's so weird. It's like not real.
I know we all, well, Kira, you and I all had our first little capstone meeting. Do you kind of know what you're thinking about doing, or even like, no? Am I putting you on the spot?
Oh, you're good. This I got this tattoo like not this past summer, but the summer before. It's this surfing cow. It's on my left bicep, so I can flex, and it could look like it's surfing.
Love that.
And I got that because when I left the BFA, I took Michael Summers's hand, mind, gesture class, and I went in not really knowing what I was going to do, and I just knew I really loved cows, and I was like, I love cows, and Michael Summers was like, great, make a cow mask, and I was like, great, and I made this whole freaking cow costume, and I did a show basically about how much I love cows and why. And I mean, obviously it had to do with like me being queer and being like Latinx, because you know, a cow has like black and white spots, and then I was like, oh, I should have been a brown cow, and I don't know. So there were like a lot of like little jokes in there, and it ended up being like a whole like 20 to 30 minute like sort of one person show, and we did it at the showcase of hand, mind, gesture, and then in that showcase, Michael's wife, who runs the theater, Open Eye Figure Theater, with Michael, approached me and was like, hey, would you like to perform this professionally this summer? And I was like, what? This 20 to 30 minute piece of shit show, you're gonna pay me for that? And you know, people really loved it for some reason, and then I did it, and then I thought it was bad, even though I was getting paid, and I forgot about it. And I had a recording of the show, and I looked at the recording of the show months later after not thinking about it for a while, and I was like, oh, like this is something really special. Because everyone was kind of telling me, like, you know, if you really focus, you could really take this show a lot of places. And then I started finding all these connections, right? Because there's a lot of comedy with the cow, and it's just fucking weird, like a cow. But you know, there's a very much, I found the heart of the piece, which is that I was born in Key West, Florida, and you know, my mother's from Guatemala, but my dad is Cuban American, and my grandfather came over in like 61 after Fidel Castro took over. And so I was born in Key West, 90 miles from Cuba. So I feel very much in a way that the Atlantic Ocean is this border. And I feel in a lot of ways I was almost born like on the border. And I grew up in Miami, which is a city that is haunted by Havana. Miami is the capitalist twin of its communist sister Havana. And so I started exploring all of these things, especially during this time. There's a lot of Cuban Americans in Miami who are Trump supporters because, you know, there's just a lot of trauma of having, you know, someone come in saying that they're going to introduce communism and everything's going to be good for everybody, and then they become a dictator. So it's about that. It's about exploring, you know, what does it mean for me to be Cuban American during this time? What does that identity even mean? Because like, and I'll end on this, you know, I'll wrap up. Like a little example is like every morning I drink like my Café Bustelo, right? That's like the staple, like Cuban coffee. And then my girlfriend somehow got like some coffee from some guy who goes to Cuba every year here in Minnesota. And he gave her a bag of coffee from Cuba, like to give to me. And so here's this bag of coffee, and it is not as good as Café Bustelo, like at fucking all. You know, it's like you can't get good Cuban food in Cuba anymore. You get it in Miami. And so it's like, here I am, like drinking this original Cuban coffee because my Café Bustelo ran out. And I'm here like, wow, like this is the real Cuban coffee now. But in my head, right, like it's the Café Bustelo that's the real Cuban coffee. So that's where the surfing cow comes in. Surfing is illegal in Cuba because, you know, surfing is not a category in the Olympics. So Fidel Castro just kind of, I mean, the government, you know, is kind of like, oh, we can't profit. It can't make Cuba look good, you know? And then cows you're not allowed to kill cows if you own a cow to eat. Only the government can. So people will purposefully like bring all their cows in front of a train, like to get meat and survive. So that's where this sort of like magical realism picture comes in, of like me connecting all these things together. So it's a lot. Obviously, you can tell I have a lot of feelings, and that's why I'm doing a whole one-person show. And I'm very excited, and I hope to perform it in Key West in December and film it, and I hope to hand that in as the capstone.
Wow. Wow.
That's gorgeous.
That's amazing.
I absolutely love it.
Thank you.
And Wariboko, are you a junior in the BFA?
I am. I'm a third-year student in the BFA. I'm from Nigeria, but Florida is my second home because I went to high school there. So I came to America when I was 13. I turned 14 in December because I have a late birthday, but I was 13 going on 14 when I moved to the U.S. And like it was a good boarding school. It also / day school, a kind of fusion of that. My original plan was to go into biomedical engineering, and I wanted to be a gynecologist because I wanted to study women's health in Africa. But then I realized I had a passion for theater, and then I did like some arts programs at my school, auditioned for a couple of colleges in New York, and then I ended up in Minnesota, and Sab was in my company, and we meshed because I think we have that relations of like, oh, you know, a lot of like people of color who know their identities, who know what it means to immigrate to America. Also like Florida as well. Like anybody who's lived in Florida in some kind of way knows Florida in some kind of way. And I was not like, it speaks for itself, really. Florida, if you can visit past spring break, do it. And so that's kind of how we met and fused together. And, you know, I think that's also what led to the birth of ACC. I think I really, my freshman year, for a while, the only I had friends who were in UMTAD, but they were white. And like the only friend of color that I had that was an artist for a bit, besides like the director I was working with on a show and whatnot that like knew me, was Sab. And so, you know, it helps like being in the same company, and like she was like one of my first friends in the Twin Cities. And, you know, I had talked to Talvin, funny story here, I talked to Talvin my freshman year trying to start like a theater group where we would write plays, and we would do it mostly with like women and people of color and non-binary and queer artists, because, you know, we had open stage. I thought, well, why not try and do that? I was busy over my head, and then summer, some blessings came around, worked in the Twin Cities, so busy. Then sophomore year, Sab texts me, she's like, I'm tired of like not having a space for a community. And I go, same. And we're like, let's start this organization. You know, what's the worst that could happen? And I mean, it's been a lot, especially like there's a difference between running an organization by yourself, and also like there's a difference between running it like with someone else than running it with your friend, especially like friends who are also like, sometimes we have to like put on our like coworker caps. Sometimes we can put on our friend caps. It's like, we really do like have to like draw that line, but like it also still us in that same way. Yeah. And we, you know, through ACC, we met a bunch of different faculty of color in UMTAD that it's weird that the offices aren't as readily available. And so, you know, we met Talvin, we met Celine Garcia, Sonali Pavwa, Ananya, Andrea Reynolds. I mean, the list goes on. And even though there is that, like, I think 70, about, correct my math if I'm wrong, like around, I did a study for this with the BFA as well when I wrote the call to action for that. There is this thing, there is about like, almost, you could say that there's a good amount of like 80% white faculty and like maybe 10% of like faculty of color. And so, you know, with ACC, we wanted to create this group that was, because honestly, what we're doing is not new. It's not new by any chance. Students of color have voiced their concerns in UMTAD, Minnesota, the segregation rates between like Black students and white students. Even in the arts at different artistic institutions, look at company members that audition for BFA programs, and, you know, out of the 16 or 20, like about 20 to 30% of them might be POC. And so like, I think there's so many lines that like a lot of programs have like tried to touch on, and I think with ACC and especially the direction that UMTAD is moving forward, I know I had a meeting with Talvin last week. We have some exciting things coming up. There has been, it's needed. And, you know, I think it's nice to have the department like with an open ear, you know, and an open heart to like listen to this. And like Matt LaFave has been down for the count. You know, he's one of he's one of those people that you look at him, at least from my meetings with him, I haven't felt like he is a fake ally of some sort. I feel like he has been very genuine in his efforts. I think he's a very understanding man. I think he's seen the problems in UMTAD. He used to teach costume design, so of course he's had people come to him. And so, yeah, we're very much in this place of our group is also, we have a great team of women of color. I should say that. We have our vice chair of operations, Isabela Condo Vera. She's an international student from Costa Rica. Shout out to her. We have Emma Lai, a BA student. She also is chair of operations. We have Rachel Deng. We have Ashley Horiyuchi, and we also have the wonderful Sabrina Diehl. So there is like it's a nice thing to be surrounded by so many women of color on the board, and especially like, because they are, at the end of the day, if you look across countries and especially America, women of color are always like these backbones for these movements, especially like with Black Lives Matter. It was like Black women that were like the backbones of this movement. And so I really think that it's very exciting to have that on board. And especially when I was looking for Sab and I too, and in recruitment of our officers and like our board members, we wanted people who were ready to like take on it, but also like ready to take care of themselves. And so that's the greatest thing about ACC and how we function. It's never really just one person carrying it all, and especially having such a great team. It's very much division of labor. So somebody covers this, or if they need help with something, you know, I can take on that because I don't work on this day of the week. So there's a lot of, we're currently like trying to rebrand the Instagram and, you know, like just add on new things, new details of our officers and introducing them. And some exciting stuff to come that like, you know, I cannot share that yet because it's not finalized. But when it is finalized and when me and Sab have finished talking about it and we've really gotten the details, you can see it on our Instagram at ACC_UMTAD. So, you know, don't be afraid to like get us up to 100 followers. We're trying to like boost this up.
We will plug away.
Yeah, go ahead. I think y'all are doing such important work, you know, and it's really nice to just provide a space for artists of color because of the fact that like, you know, in this department, so often do we, you know, just enter our different classroom spaces or rehearsal spaces and we are the only person, you know, in those spaces who, you know, have, or people of color in those spaces. And so it becomes this sort of, I almost see y'all as like this nice, like little like web as you like kind of go out and then back in, you know, like when I see webs, they spread out very far and, you know, you get to the outer edge and they're still connected, but they are very, like the strings are very long between them, right? You know, and so that's when you go and like you have so many different people in all these different classes, but like at the end of the day, you're always still connected because you have this space for you all to come back to.
Sab also brought up this really cool thing when we had our first meeting, like over summer with Talvin. She had said a thing about ACC that really holds at the root of it is the fact that we're trying to address the racist stuff that happens, and we're not trying to like, we're mostly dedicated to building a community for students of color. We're really dedicated to like giving that idea, like a lot of times at PWIs as a person of color or BIPOC, as a like BIPOC individual, you have to be not only a student, but you have to be a teacher. Like you're teaching your teachers, you're teaching your classmates. Like sometimes you don't get to be a kid in college. And so with ACC and like Sab's wonderful thing of like this time, especially for a BIPOC individual, it is that time for us to heal. It is that time for self-preservation, especially for like, you know, as we move into like Hispanic/Latinx Heritage Month, we can't ignore the fact that we still have children in camps. We still have, at the end of the day, we go into how many programs, like diversity issues, colorism. It's really a time where we want to give BIPOC students that are artists who can't make it to East Bank for one meeting or the other. We want to give them that opportunity to be able to breathe.
Yeah,
for once.
And it's about that. I love the image of the web, John, of because it's about that. It's about a web, and we are holding each other together. And I think, you know, what I had said in the meeting with ACC was, I don't know, I had kind of got into this mindset of like, you know, the white people need to be doing the work of like calling teachers out and like getting all these anti-racist stuff happening. And then like the, you know, BIPOC students, they just need a place to heal and flourish. And now I think I still sort of agree with that. I take it back just a little bit, just because, you know, I was having a really in-depth conversation last night with someone who had been, you know, sexually assaulted during, like, when everything was happening with the protests. And after that happened, you know, she didn't feel like protesting anymore. And she was like, why do I have to get on Instagram and tell people that this thing happened to me, and because of that, I don't feel like protesting? So there's this interesting thing going on now of like we shame people. And I've had a lot of freaking white Minnesotans shame me for not protesting anymore. And I'm like, okay, like, whatever. I'll just go start my Latinx theater company over here, and you can mind your own business. So I think it's really about, you know, this idea of not policing ourselves, not policing our partners, not policing our friends anymore. And I've been trying to be very aware of that. And nobody's perfect. I was policing my girlfriend last night, and today I apologized because I was like, oh, that was fucked up. And the reason I did this was because of this, and this trauma that this world has, you know, instilled in me. So I think it's really just a time to, yes, like, this is a movement. I do believe the revolution is coming. And when I say revolution, I think the revolution of this country is going to look very different to how it has looked in other countries. And I think we have to be prepared for what's going to come after the revolution. We cannot romanticize the revolution, because the revolution it lasts for like 5 seconds. And then someone else gets into power, and we need to know who that freaking person is going to be, or persons, you know. So hopefully not person, that never ends up well. So I think it's really about being aware of ourselves and grounding ourselves, and just this idea of radical love. And that is why we have created ACC, for a space, you know, primarily for BIPOC students to flourish and heal in. But, you know, eventually, hopefully in the future, and hopefully we will live to see the day when we can all be in that space equally, because everybody is traumatized. You are traumatized living on this land, even if you're white. Like, this, what has happened on this land is so horrible. You know, even if you're an immigrant, you know, like, so it's everybody's stories. It's all sides of the stories: the immigrant, the indigenous, the Black, the white, all sides of the stories.
That's beautiful. And what's really sticking out to me about what you just said is this idea of radical love, and ACC just being a place for that to flourish and be consistent and to hold each other. And that's really incredible.
It's so like, yes to everything Sam said. It's not just an organization that is like, because I think it's very easy for people, because I think society has lost the idea of rhetoric and what that means and the significance that thing carries. And I think it's very easy for a lot of people to get defensive sometimes. And when like, especially with people of color, when people of color ever like when BIPOC individuals ever like stand up towards the status quo that is presented before them. I mean, even look at like the term BIPOC. Before, we all went as people of color, because at the end of the day, we are people of color. But anyways, my point with just saying that is just the idea that when we brought this idea up, and what we're trying to do with this organization is just the fact of like, it's a thing of love. Because if we didn't care about UMTAD, if we wanted to basically sit around, mope, not be happy, and not take fullest advantage of the education that we're paying over $20,000 for, or depending on any person's case, like, we wouldn't be doing this. And I think, you know, the same way that being in the arts being in UMTAD has had, like, you know, its ups and downs, and like that's also part of a larger systemic issue with like the American education system. I think that for me, like when I was the work, every time I do stuff for ACC, there is this thing of like love in my heart for, you know, up and coming students of color. It's that thing of this isn't just a one thing for UMTAD to look. This isn't just a thing for, you know, George Floyd movement. It's a thing that even after Sab graduates, even after I graduate in spring of 2022, like I want this thing to last because one, I want kids to feel safe. I want kids to feel like they can talk to somebody. Two, I also want my department to look, I want the department to look good. I want it to like step up to the place it can be, the same way teachers push us to be the best students we can be out of color, not out of color, out of success and like whatnot. It's the same way, don't get it twisted, our color will never leave. Sorry, babes. It's the same way, like, you know, for real though, it's like the same way that we're pushing them. It goes both ways. When I wrote my application to this school, to many schools, I never was like, when I was coming to college in Minnesota, I knew this state was segregated. I knew that the University of Minnesota was white. When I was in Florida.
They didn't tell me that.
See,
I was like, you don't speak Spanish? I thought
like,
everyone spoke Spanish in this country.
Just because like for me, it just thought that like, I came to America at such a young age that for me, it's like, I guess a lot of students of color have to grow into their identity. And like, while I've been I've matured a lot and grown in college in other personal ways. For me, it was like the reality of like, a white person doesn't know this about me was just like, well, how could they know? They didn't grow up in Nigeria. You're not black. Like for me, I was like, it would be annoying in different cases, but there were also a lot of cases where for me, I was like, you don't know better. Which sucks that you don't know better. And especially like in this time where I think a lot of Black mental health has been at a decline. I mean, Black mental health has been a decline in America, period. A lot of people of color's mental health has been a decline in America because of like a huger medical issue. But I think that like with this, you know, we're not licensed therapists. We're not licensed anti-racism trainers, but a thing that we know what it feels like is to be quiet. It's like to feel that claustrophobia in a space of whiteness. In fact, we still deal with it in our day-to-day classrooms. I mean, as a white student, I dare every white student listening to this, look around your class. Look at how many professors you have that are white at the University of Minnesota, like outside of the Afro studies.
Wariboko, don't be so hard on them.
No, I mean, it's the university's doing their things, but yeah, it's just something that like everybody's bringing light to the issues in the university in their own different ways, and we are grateful for the things that UMTAD has given, but that doesn't mean like out of our gratitude, we're not going to keep anybody accountable. We will, but we also know our main point.
Yeah, and it's about like, it's not about like, you know, I just dropped a class last week because most of the people in that class were white and they were having conversations about the guilt and the shame they feel as white people, which is great. Have those conversations. Don't have them in front of me. I just don't fucking care. Like, I don't need to waste my energy and my time listening to that anymore. I've done enough of that living in Minnesota for the past 3 years. So it's a complicated thing because you have to have space for that. But it's hard, and I get angry when I'm being asked to have space for that when for so long they haven't had space for me. So it's this very strange thing, and I think it's just this awareness of, you know, I feel I've been lucky, and I just happened to make choices in which I found my professors that have had a huge impact on me specifically, and these are white professors, Michael Summers and Lucinda Holshoe at the university. And sadly, I have never had Talvin as a professor because I just, you know, the semester and his course never lined up. And I'm sure he would have been another one that had a huge impact on me. But, you know, those two professors for me personally have had a huge impact, and they're both white. So I think it's not about like, you can't give me what I need as a student, as a white professor. It's about like, really being a good teacher and like looking at your students as a human being and as the artist that they want to be. Because when they really see you, like, it doesn't matter, this is going to be cliche, but it doesn't matter the color where you come from, because it's about the soul, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's about the artistry. So it's really about that. And so yeah, that's what I was.
Go ahead, Sam. That's our vice chair, y'all. Y'all get into it. That's her.
So, as y'all are talking about artistry and, you know, your commitment to really want to go ahead and change, you know, not only MTAD, but really, like, I guess, like, really the whole theatrical scene. Like, we want to ask you our sort of, like, thematic question that we'll ask everyone, but why theater? You know, like, why theater?
Oh my God. I mean, do you want to go first, Wari? Who goes first?
I'll go first. Why theater? Theater allows me to say things that I feel like a lot of other career opportunities wouldn't. Theater has given me access to scholarships that honestly, if I was not an acting major or if I wasn't going to school for acting, I don't think I would be able to like acquire those scholarships. So I am thankful for my talent in that respect of like getting to study other things in regards to theater. And also I think that theater is so significant because it's helped me like cope with a lot of my own different trauma outside of race. There's a lot that like theater has. Like for instance, I have ADHD, dysphemic disorder, and social phobia. Somehow theater has made my mind work. Theater has like taught me like my first kiss was on stage, you know, and my first professional show in Minneapolis, because that was the first time it gave me my social security number in the US. So like it's just crazy that like theater has like opened up those avenues for me to explore myself emotionally, mentally, and I don't know, I don't want to do anything else other than act or write or do something like in regards to helping the theater, because I think the theater can help the community at large. It sucks that at the end of the day, even though we say theater is for everyone, there's still a huge wealth disproportion within it, and that like it's hard because like a lot of like Broadway is seen as a luxury towards white people, even when it's written to be brought to people of color. And I just think that like, you know, the first time I listened to a musical like was the first time I understood what depression meant. I didn't know many things about myself. Like I listened to Fun Home and all of a sudden, like, you know, you learn so many things. Or listening to Wicked and like she's singing Defying Gravity. Or like I was a kid from Nigeria where I didn't know much about theater. And it's like my sophomore year, I wandered on this video of Viola Davis doing Fences. And I was like, wait a minute, there's a dark-skinned person doing that. And I always go back to Lupita winning that Oscar. And I was like, there is a chance for me in this space, you know? And coming into a BFA program that's like ranked, and you hear about it from the country, like for instance, I canceled my Juilliard audition the day before. And I almost like didn't come into acting because I thought I didn't go to a fancy place. So what am I doing here? I feel like an imposter. And sometimes, like, thank God for people like Sab, my friend Avion Miles, different teachers, they've made me feel less like an imposter in this craft, and made me feel like I can take up space. Like my freshman year, I was about to find another major, but this woman here, who is my vice head chair, makes me remember that I am not an imposter in this field. And so that's a reason why, like, I love theater. It's a reason why I love this craft. You know, I write to give Black people and also like people of color an opportunity to escape their everyday lives and see themselves in superfluous, grandiose spaces. And so that's just something I love about theater, because it makes me create my own world and my own like utopia. Sorry, that was a
Defying Gravity from Nigeria. How's that for a capstone title?
I mean, shit. Wait, can I say? Wait till y'all see.
Steal that. Please steal that. Please steal that. I didn't come up with my title. Cows Can't Surf in Cuba. Wow, that was beautiful. You know, I struggle with this question because here we are being brought on this podcast to talk about the Artists of Color Coalition, ACC, which me and Wariboko have started. So suddenly we are, the face of, I don't know, making UMTAD a better place for BIPOC students. And the truth is, I'm just a theater kid. Like, I am just a fucking theater kid, just like any other theater kid at UMTAD. For me, I did a monologue when I was 14. I just joined drama club at my private Christian school at the time, and I won Critics' Choice at the Thespian Festival, and I would like...
Yeah, that's how you do it. Oh my gosh.
Like, literally, like, that's what did it to me. Like performing that monologue on that stage in front of all those people and making all those people laugh. I was like, oh my God. Like, it was just like this cosmic thing for me. And that is what I always go for, and that is why, even though she's a white woman, the search for signs of intelligent life in the universe is really phenomenal. Yeah. Exactly. Like, this is it's like that is like, oh my, like, just the artistry and the humanness, goes beyond that show for me. It will forever have impacted me. And so, before I'm a lesbian, before I'm Latinx, before I'm queer, before I'm anything, like, I am an artist. So it's hard because, we're children and we have these feelings, and it's like, I'm just a theater kid. Well, it's like, yeah, I'm just a theater kid, but I'm a theater kid who's growing up and living in this world that is really racist. So you can't just be theater kid. You have to be, I wouldn't take on the title activist, but I'm sure, I don't know, maybe people associate that with me in terms of the art I make. I mean, my one-person show, Cows Can't Surf in Cuba, that is a call to activism for me. That's a call to conversation about these issues that we're scared to talk about because we're all traumatized, right? So that's the thing. I mean, and it's just hard because theater has power, and we have to be aware of that power, whatever way we use it. Today in my class, we were discussing the play Metamora. And like, I'm just going to show you on Google Maps, Metamora, Illinois, Metamora, Michigan, Metamora, Indianapolis, Metamora, Ohio, like all of these places named in celebration of that super racist play against Indigenous people written by a white man. Like, that is the country we're living in. So it's like, this theater is so powerful, and we cannot ignore that. And so even though I'm just a theater kid, I get so excited when I see shows like One Day at a Time, when I see shows like Vida. I'm like, One Day at a Time for me, it's this show, you can Google it. It's about like a Cuban American family. It's a single mom, and the older sister's like, a lesbian, and then the younger brother, they call him Papito. I call my little brother Papito. Like, I have a single mom. Like, I was the older sister lesbian. Like, oh my God, it is literally my life. And like, watching that show, I was like, oh, like, this is how white people like have felt watching Full House. Like, this is the feeling. And so it's been very hard, especially coming to Minneapolis, because I think in Miami too, even though there's a huge Latinx population there, and I actually thought I was white for a lot of my life growing up in Miami, and I think in some spaces I am white, especially in Miami, I'm white passing. But where was I going with this? I sort of romanticized growing up in Miami, all this media I saw, and it was all like American media and all this like like Full House and Friends and like just all this like shit that like I don't fucking relate to, but I was somehow finding a way to relate to. And what I was actually doing was code switching. And then I get here and I like want to be part of a college improv group that I'm happy to be a part of. But it's like, you know, most of the people in my group are white and grew up in the Midwest, and it's just different. They make references I don't get. So suddenly I don't feel like I'm funny. Suddenly I don't feel like I contribute to this group. And that is very, 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 very hard. And very lonely. And that is why ACC had to be created, to uplift one another, to get back to the inner artist, the inner child, because that's what we all need to be going to. That's the well that we all need to be grabbing into. That's the power of theater.
Like, honestly, same onto what Sab said. Like, my first time in Minneapolis, I wouldn't like coming in. My mindset was like, where are my people of color at? Where we at? What's going on? What we doing? Like, I was like, because I was lucky that my high school was a PWI with students from different countries. A lot of us were international students. But the people that were closest to me, like I had friends of color, like there wasn't something that was so grandiose. If anything, going to high school in Florida kind of prepared me for the racism I would experience in college, except with the idea that, like, for instance, like my sophomore year of high school, somebody told me to go back to my country. And this is a school, like, you know? And so it's just like, in a way, that kind of prepared me for like microaggressions in college. But the thing that irritated me about those microaggressions was just that thing of like, why can't you just say it? If you're going to be racist, say it with your chest, you know? And I think that, you know, I've like, because of the importance of community, like having that, it's really like shown me all the different blessings that you can learn from people. It's helped my art. Like, I'm blessed in the regard that, like, you know, from proctoring one show from the BFA, knowing someone who knows someone, I got to be in my first professional show with like all Black people, and like having like I thank H. Adam Harris, like Underdog Theater Company that was in Minneapolis, Corey LaQuest Poem, like, or having Ana Sofia Villanueva, like, who directed us for Jesus Hop the A Train. Like, there is like that, there are these people of color in Minnesota. I really don't like us like getting out of that. It's just there isn't a unified space, especially like some people don't vibe in, like, there's a difference as a person of color, BIPOC person of color, either way. There is this difference when you're an artist in those spaces. Like, like, you know, I'm Black. Like, when I was in high school, people used to call me Oreo because I liked theater.
What?
Yeah, we had, there were like all the Africans, all the Black boys, they were playing basketball, they were doing soccer. I liked to read Socrates and listen to opera music. I could speak fluent English. And there is this difference of like, you know, in our different homes. Like, I go home, all my sisters are in STEM. I'm just studying acting with a minor in digital media studies. Not that. My mother encouraged me to do the arts from a young age, so that's something that's great. Like, we still have the arts in Nigeria. It's just on a different scale than it is in America. It works different. But like, you know, theater is alive and theater is well. And even if it's on Zoom, it doesn't make it dead. If anything, I'm happy for Zoom theater and Corona because it's forcing a lot of people to make art with people they would have never assumed doing it with in the first place. A lot of people are writing stuff that they would have never done in the first place. So when we get on that Zoom, like, and I hear people all the time going, I wish I was in the space. You walk into the space, is the diversity going to be fixed? Is the space going to cater to you? And it's like, for instance, we have this opportunity to do like more right stuff, and like also the curriculum is shifting. Like, finally professors know what it's like to be behind a screen in some way, and like some professors are willing to listen. I just think that a lot of the things that a lot of people are assuming are dead are finally coming to life in new ways that they were not comfortable with before, and they're scared to admit that. And so you blame it on something else. You know, you move we love to do it in society. Every time you say, we're like, oh, well, if you think I'm doing this wrong, then what about you? You know, it's always pointing fingers, but never joining hands. And it's like, well, what happened if you put that finger down and held each other's hand for once, you know? And with ACC, we are bringing in like all these kids of color, and like, there will be events where, you know, white people can come. But at the end of the day, you have to know that respect and that thing of, it's this person first. Let me practice generosity of spirit. Because we talked about Lucinda's class, they taught us about temenos, protecting the sacred space. And so it's just one of those things that, like, in Bruce's acting class to BFA, they say focus on the other. And every day there are so many days too, like in regard to like juggling school, sometimes mental health and my job, like I want to like just like shut down and like nap on ACC. But what keeps me fueled is I can't like when I put that thing down, it says head chair, does it not? So it's like there are others. It's the other, and I don't have to carry a lot of things on my own, especially as a Black man when we're not allowed to feel a lot in society. We're just not. Even when we do, even coming into theater, there's so many times where you're crying, you're doing that monologue, and guess what they're gonna say? You angry. Or you didn't say that word right, or you're too urban, you're to this. Like, there's so many things that, like, what I think I'm glad that I've had people, like a lot of black directors, like come into my life, J-Dub, Roberta Emerson, like people come into my life and teach me and show me that there is a complexity, and I've had white teachers acknowledge how my complexity fits. But I got into a yelling match with Mihal on the last day of our fall semester. Because I told him straight up, he was like, any notes? I said, your class is the only thing that counts as theater history. You know that. And your class is not diverse.
And it was you and me, Wariboko. Like, literally, I think there was...
Katie Briggs.
Katie Briggs. Shout out to you, Katie. She stood up with us. She was fearless because everyone was scared. And then you know what happened after that? Mihal changed his class. That man opened his mind. He really listened to us. Because you know what? Even though he's, you know, from Poland or whatever, it's very white, like, you know, he cares. Like, that's a good teacher. Like, that's the sign of a good teacher, is that you listen to your students.
Or like Lucinda, for instance, my freshman year, I picked a monologue from Angels in America for our story monologue unit, and I remember doing this monologue with the whole American accent because I use American accent 24/7, just because sometimes I don't hear people using a Nigerian one, so I will use it. And sometimes if I'm comfortable around you, I will bring it out. It's not personal. It's not anybody's business. But she like told me, you can do this monologue but like with your dialect. And I said, but the character is American and this is Kushner. Where do I fit in Kushner's world? Because for so long I've had not just white people, Black people, all these different people tell me, you're not American. And I was like, but couldn't I, you know, you do 4 years in high school and yet someone's like, you don't know what the African American experience is like. Those were my formative years, you know, and I think I'm going off topic here, but I just want to come back again to the route of like, ACC also, in addition to building community, is acknowledging the differences that exist within other people of color and within their communities themselves. You know, we can't agree that like all Latinos and Hispanics think the same. Some people don't. I know some.
Like,
I have a friend.
Hispanic is Spain, bro.
And like some people don't, like, you know, they have their own whole thing, and like we can't sit and say, oh, you know, all Black kids think the same, because hello, I might coming into UMTAD wanting to do Wilson more so, and somebody might be like, you know what, I want to do a freaking Chekhov, and that's fine. At the end of the day, like I think also we haven't had enough conversations about this in our institutions, and like, you know, I'm glad, like especially after the call to action and having 2 heads of color in the BFA, which is a monumental thing. Those heads, like we've been having a lot of like anti-racism training. We've been having stuff about like casting and like outside of like color conscious casting or this kind of casting. You learn about all these terms that are actually helpful, and like, you know, having 4 different Black directors, three actually for a BFA fall season, with all these different things. Like it's change in smaller steps, and I think, you know, it's something I have learned to be very patient with the movement. Like it's a hard thing that I have come to, but you got to get there. You just got to learn how to be patient with the world. Rome wasn't built in a day. Egyptian pyramids weren't built overnight. Even when you fly a plane, you don't get there in a minute. Like it's a journey to a lot of different things. And I'm just happy that like UMTAD is starting to like, at least we have a head of UMTAD that is like willing to help us, and we have a faculty member who is willing to help us, as well as many other faculty of color too. And you know, I think again with our goals, we have a bunch of things that we would love to see happen and a lot of change, but like, you know, at the end of the day, also it is not our place because we are not the heads of the department. We, however, can help in our own different ways, and I think that's also at the stem and root of ACC for me. I think going back to Sab's point about activism and activism through different forms, there are some places I couldn't go to some protests because I have asthma, so I'm high risk for COVID. So if I like do this kind of protest, like resources on my story, that's still something. If we come together and try to do this for my community, that's still something. I'm really getting tired of a lot of people activism shaming because they've done this and done that and done this. Okay.
Let's stop that.
Yes, thank you both. Y'all are amazing.
Thank you.
Pop off. Kira and I are gonna...
Good day, everybody.
Also,
Bye,
follow
y'all.
us at ACC_UMTAD. Our Instagram is ACC_UMTAD.
Got it.
And mine is I am Sabrina Diehl, Diehl. What's yours, Wariboko? Go say it.
I don't want them to know it because I want to be mysterious.
Okay. Sorry.
No. They don't need to know mine. They can just know ACC and Sab's because Sab cooks up a lot. Sab has a lot of funny content that, like, even though I'm not Hispanic or Latino, like Latinx, like if you should watch it and you feel like you just need somebody to brighten up your day in Spanish, English, Spanglish, go to I am Sabrina Diehl's Instagram.
I love that.
Wow.
Y'all, I have to go because I'm gonna have another meeting. But this was lovely. Have a good one. Bye.
Bye, y'all.
See you, Wariboko. See you, Sabrina.
All right, that was our wonderful Wariboko and Sabrina. We absolutely love that they were able to pop up with us here today, and it's wonderful because today we get to learn just how revolutionary theater really can be and how it can be a medium for such change in our world. And so I think that's a perfect transition just to start really seeing what people are doing out in the theatrical world. So Kira, go ahead and let's get some people. Who are some people? What's going on?
Absolutely. Okay, so for our profile of the week, Hadestown fans, scream a little, jump up and down a little, because that's us. Wow. So we have two incredible women from the Hadestown production team that we would like to highlight tonight. So they are both 20 Tony winning. I wish they had 20 Tonys. Tony winning award winners. And so Rachel Hawk and Jessica Paz, queens. So Rachel is, she's a set designer. So she did the set design for Hadestown, won a Tony. She also does Shakespeare in the Park for New York City and the Oregon Shakespeare Festival. She's done some stuff for that too. She was a resident set designer at the O'Neill Playwright Center for 10 years. So she's just really dedicated to new play development and the education of young artists. She currently teaches at Princeton, which is incredible. And then Jessica Paz, so she is a sound designer and a front of house engineer for musicians like Lady Antebellum and the African Children's Choir. Those are so different. But that's pop off. So she was also, in addition to winning the Tony for co-designing the sound design for Hadestown, she was the associate sound designer for Dear Evan Hansen, yes please, and Bandstand and Disaster the Musical, as well as Fela, which Fela is my most favorite, like, get out of bed like screaming and dancing musical. It's so great.
I love that.
And Jessica ends her bio with pizza is her favorite food group, which is beautiful. And I agree. Yes. Okay, so for our student shout out of the week, we have the wonderful, the incredible Ansel from the dance department. And Ansel is just, I was able to take a class with them. Oh gosh, maybe it was 2 years ago, but it was Contact Improv, which is definitely not possible right now. But I would totally recommend that class. It's so cool. And it's led by Hijack, and it's this partnered dance kind of troupe. And they do some really, really cool work. So Ansel has some really lovely words to share. Hey, Ansel.
Hi, Ted people. My name is Ansel Langmead. I use they, them pronouns, and I am a dance BFA student, and I'm also getting a French minor. I am very interested in social justice choreography regarding to gender and race and other cultural experiences. My favorite class slash show, memory, etc. was probably either being able to participate in students' comp pieces or stage managing the dance program spring concert last year. That was really fun for me. I am really looking forward to continuing my practice as a choreographer after school and hopefully going to grad school for dance in a more research and intellectual based study. And something that brings me joy at this moment is getting to ride my bike to class and leave the house. I didn't really go anywhere for a long time because I didn't have a job and all my classes were online, but now I get to leave the house, which is super fun, and biking is something I really enjoy. And a message for fellow UMTAD students, really try to be involved in your peers' work. It is so rewarding and you make so many great connections, and so many students I've worked with who have graduated now I'm still in contact with, and I'm really looking forward to the opportunities that can bring me. Thank you!
So the last segment that we would like to do, and this is a little different than last week because we have a question from you, from the UMTAD. And so a question that we've been getting is, how do I get involved now, like in this COVID moment? And this is a great episode for this question to come up because we just plugged so many things. So if you're interested in tech design, USITT, ACC, there's that history mentoring opportunity. There are these volunteer opportunities like reading partners where you can read to kids over Zoom, which is really cool in Minneapolis. Open mic night, please come. It's going to be so great. And Liquid Hour, also just we would like to encourage you to like make something, you know, like be that thing. Like this is like the time to just try everything. I think it's so cool. Yeah.
No, definitely. And I encourage y'all to like get connected. Like maybe there's that one person in your Zoom class you were like, you know what, I've seen them like 5 times. I've had all these classes with them. Just like see what they're into, you know, and start really exploring. And because, you know, I feel like this is a very initiative-based time we live in. And so just really trying to go out and, as Wariboko was saying in our earlier interview here, like this is an opportunity for y'all to work with people that you may not have normally worked with. So go ahead and try new things, pop up, have fun. Closing thoughts, once again, y'all, register to vote. Y'all, I will fight anyone who does not register to vote, point blank period. If you can do so, register to vote. I'm not actually gonna fight you because that would be mean, but I love you. But you should vote. And honestly, I feel like we all should remember the first time I ever voted. I had so much fun. I feel that's weird to say, but like I walked in there and well, I don't know, you probably can't really walk in there as much, but like you still can. But like, you know, maybe you sit at home and you circle that, you know, that bubble. You really get all up in that bubble, and then you walk up to that mailbox and you send it. You know what I mean? But also in Minnesota, there are 2 early voting sites that will be open in Minneapolis. And so making sure that you take the opportunity, y'all, to really have your voice be heard in this election, because it is all very important during, especially like our Jubilee season and just so many other things that are happening in our society, that y'all need to make sure that your voice is heard in the way that you want it to be. So with that.
We have some wise words, some inspirational thoughts from our very own beloved BFA peer, Clara Marsh.
Laughter is poison to fear. George R.R. Martin. Find some joy this week.
This
This episode of the Peercast is edited by Rachel Breeze, programmed by Hunter Batterson and Caitlin McLean, and our music is composed by Raymond New.
Hey, y'all. You can't laugh.
I'll mute myself.
Hey, y'all. So you may have noticed that in this podcast, I don't sound like I do right now. And that's because, well, while I do have this microphone and the computer and everything is better, I forgot to turn the microphone off. So we were using the wrong one the entire time. And with that, next time, I'll do better. I promise. You're amazing. Goodbye.